Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I have a lovely lady here today. Diana Mary Rose is here, and welcome to High Road to Humanity.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for inviting me onto your
my whole platform here.
Your
Yeah.
whole platform.
Yeah. You're welcome. She's written this cool book called Atlantis and Gaia, and it's right there. What a cool cover, I will say.
Thank
on
you.
This book.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like it.
I chose the cover. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Magic, reincarnation, COVID, and earth healing today. Very interesting.
Yeah.
This is one of the most interesting books I think I've ever read. And I interview a lot of people. So I'm going to tell everybody that right off the bat and make sure you check this out and share the show. Diana Mary Rose is a psychic medium. She is a Reiki and Sekhem Master of the healing arts. She's a classically trained homeopath. Her clairaudient and telepathic abilities are profound, and she uses these skills while writing. So telepathy means that she can chat away with source in an uninhibited manner that comes through her writings. Her lively style reflects the world upstairs, which is free of earthly concern. And I have to thank you for doing that, because I did a message that I channeled from the divine, and I don't want people to think I was nuts. So thank you,
Yeah.
Diana, for that. She's got quite a background. Her spirit guides work with her, but she's from the UK. You're from, is it Rutland, UK?
Yes. The
United
smallest
Kingdom.
county in the United Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah, and you so you have a degree from Exeter University in English Medieval Studies, which I think is really cool. And you've worked as a professional trained archivist.
Yes.
So this is just really interesting. What prompted you? I want to hear your story. Have you always been psychic? What prompted you to start channeling some of these different celebrities? I was really taken back.
Yes.
Tell your story.
Yeah. Well, yes, I think I probably was born psychic in actual fact. But now that I look back at my childhood, there are certain things which I took for granted. And I think probably a lot of psychic people will assume as children, everybody can, do these things. But yes, I think I was. But what has brought the psychic on much more strongly has been meditation.
Right.
I've been meditating for probably about 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings through the psychic psychic ability. So as I started to meditate, suddenly I was beginning to see things. I was hearing words coming through. Then gradually I started to hear sentences coming through. And then about maybe 3 years ago, it morphed into me actually having a conversation with my spirit guide. So in other words, it's something that you develop over time, over many, many years of meditating, and also doing Reiki, which clears all the channels, and eating holistic food, using homeopathic medicines to clear again the energy way. So it's everything I've done really through my life has helped to bring this book to the fore. I couldn't have written it 10 years ago because I hadn't got the telepathic ability to do it. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
It is. Well, I love how you talk, and this is something that really hit me was, you talk about Gaia. And I want you to talk about her. She's a nice person. I always bring the light up from the earth. But what struck me with your book, and I didn't know this, and I was like, oh, okay, is that I always, journal in the morning to Gaia and to God, to the divine. But then you bring in Mother Nature. Yes. And for some reason, I think everybody does this. I want you to talk about this. I thought Mother Nature and Gaia were like the same deal, but it's not.
No, different energies, different energies. They mean different things. They all interrelate. You know, the herbs and the plants and the trees and so on, and the energies connected to them. That's right. It's all slightly different. But these are words that I hear psychically,
Right.
rather than intellectually down here. You know, I hear them as I write. And so they go into the book, and the more I question, well, what does this mean, the more answers I get, the deeper I go. So the entire book is psychically written. There's in a sense, you could argue, there's none of me in it.
Oh, come
There
on.
is, of
You
course,
are the
although there
conduit.
is.
Yeah, you are the conduit. There you go.
Because yes, that's right. And
Well,
also the book is written from my prior knowledge. So obviously I have a significant knowledge of homeopathic medicines. I have a significant knowledge of healing techniques, and also archives and all these sort of things. So, and that all channels into the information that comes through. So it is a combination of me and my entire life and education, but it's still channeled knowledge coming through from my spirit guide.
I love it. Yeah. Now you say Gaia's a nice person. She's the earth goddess. Yeah.
Yes. Although that's right. Yes.
I like that. Well, it just it hit home because she's like a real person, a real entity, a real energy, and people don't look at it, I think, like that. And that's why I bring it up. You also say the earth is a healer. But another thing that kind of struck me is when you talk about the earth, you say the earth as a planet is a living entity, but it has no sensitivity. And I thought that was different.
Yeah. It all comes down to it. Yes, that's right. It's everything in the earth and everything in the planetary systems is all about recycling. Everything grows back, everything is recycled, and that includes reincarnation, people coming back, and earth energies rejuvenating, and all the ley lines work through the book really as sort of energy centers underneath which need healing, so that the earth can rejuvenate better. But
right. Well, and let's talk about the ley lines a minute, because the ley lines are actually light. And this is so interesting. I'm skipping around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just picking out stuff that I think that the audience would want to know, that I just found so interesting, and the reason I bring up the ley lines is there's a lot of friends that I've had and acquaintances that I've met doing interviews who have been instructed to go and work with the ley lines here in the United States.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. And then when you talk about it here, it's just really interesting that you bring in, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to go to the back of the book, but Jupiter is healing our ley lines. I mean, I had no clue. Can you talk about that? How did you get that information? That's like
it came through. It came through in sentences while I was writing. I can't really sort of talk about. I'm at the moment. I'm sort of talking more intellectually than I am mediumistic. And that's almost certainly because I'm nervous.
That's okay. Don't be nervous.
Kind of lose the psychic side. So I'm talking intellectually from how I wrote at the time. But all I can say is when I was writing it, that came straight in and was necessary to go in. It's yes, that's right. The Martian energies, the Jupiter energies, the Pluto energies, they all interact on trying to heal our Earth system at the moment. Because as far as I can, from what I'm told, the Earth is a mess, and the whole planetary system is pulling together to heal it as best it may.
Let's go back. I want to kind of go back to, you say that, and this was interesting too, that the Atlanteans came here to heal the Earth's atmosphere after the dinosaurs left. Yes, that was really interesting to me.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, apparently there were several attempts to for the Atlanteans to come through and land, and several times they crash landed, but they came through to, as you say, to heal the mess after this evidently this huge nuclear incident or whatever it was that happened, and the dinosaurs died out, and that's when Atlantis arrived, and they seem to be connected to crash landing in Rome, and also landing somewhere near Mount Atlas as well, and Nairobi seems to be a big part of where the Atlantean civilization is. And it's quite interesting because if you look at the folklore, shall we say, behind Atlantis, these names come up, you know, occasionally. Certainly the Mount Atlantis one, and the African connection with the Garden of Eden, and so on.
I'm going to stop you there.
And,
You say the Garden of Eden was in Africa.
yeah, which was actually part of the Atlantean civilization. Atlantis set up Africa as a place for humans to enjoy the great fruits of life, you know, a place to relax and to rejuvenate. And then over time that altered. But that's the original Garden of Eden. And yeah.
Yeah, it's so sad, you know, when I read a lot of this, to see that the Atlanteans came here to help heal Earth's atmosphere, and that we've just destroyed it again.
Yes. They destroyed it. They destroyed it eventually, and then yeah, and we're making a terrible mess again, all over again. The scientists, I think the scientists in Atlantis got out of hand, and greed and materialism came to the fore after the original introduction of Atlantean civilization. And then yeah, and we're kind of going down the same route again. That's right.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of hundred years.
Yeah, I love how you talk about COVID, and I have to be careful about what I say on my show if I want to put this up on YouTube. But the COVID, I believe, was to help, just like you talk about in the book, and I wonder if you address it, because I feel like it was to make people to go within and stay at home and realize what was most important in life.
It's a plague is always a big shock to society, and then society alters, it changes, and it moves forward. And each one is different, but they do seem to be, as I understand it from up there, planned well in advance. You know that these things have to be in order to, I suppose, shock the world into changing direction and becoming a more nurturing place. But,
now, from what the information that you received, I feel like it really did make a difference. What do you think? What's your feeling? What do you get?
I think everyone's changed as a result. Yes, everyone's changed their habits. It's made them think a lot more. And of course, with all these lockdowns, it's really tested people to the limit, and given them time to think through things in a new ways. Yes, I think most people are different as a result. Yeah.
So it's crazy to say it was a positive, because a lot of people perished, but on the flip side, it was meant to uplift and raise the vibration. Is that right? Is that what you get? Yeah.
COVID, yes, it's I think it's more a sort of, it's to make people think. I think that's it. It's been a shock to actually it's a wake-up call for everyone to think about life, think about death. And I think certainly a lot of people have thought about death, and that of course follows through into whether there is a life beyond death, and so on. So it's just changed people. It's certainly frightened a lot of people as well.
And that's sad to hear the fear. You know, let's talk about reincarnation, because you talk about reincarnation. It still amazes me, I'll just say that some people still don't believe in reincarnation. I always say, yes, but that's okay. No judgment here. But you talk about reincarnation a lot in the book, and you talk about Shakespeare, and you talk about so many different famous people. How did that all come about? I mean, did that just start coming through, or about that?
Yeah, it just came through. It came through on the second writing, in a sense, because when I first wrote the book, it was a lot more dense, without these little stories that go into it. And then as I started to go through it again, the stories came in, and all the celebrities started to arrive, and they're there to lighten the spiritual philosophy, which is really quite dense and quite, sort of, it's interesting, but it's hard to take on board. But if you have a little story, you remember the story. And and Shakespeare comes through, that's right, as a clairaudient, telepathic clairaudient. The more you think about it, you think, well, yeah, actually, that makes sense. Because how can one man write so many plays so rapidly, at such a level of genius?
He was channeling.
If he was channeling, that makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't he be? Why wouldn't that be the case? So yeah, that was quite fascinating. But also, of course, then my spirit guide. I have to say, my spirit guide Thor. Thor is the voice that I hear. It's a lovely deep voice. I love it. But he connects William Shakespeare to Virgil. As in the book, it says, Virgil, Shakespeare is a later reincarnation of Virgil, and also Bach is a later Bach, J.S. Bach. Is within the same chain. So these are the same people, as it were, reincarnating again. And that actually comes through to Churchill. So you get these four major, huge characters on the stage, all reincarnating and being part of one soul, as it were. Really interesting. Yeah.
No, I like how you talk. Let's talk a little bit about John Lennon, because I'm just going to tell you, I intuitively knew that Yoko was messing him up.
Oh,
I never felt good about that. But talk about this whole deal with John Lennon, because, he was Hiawatha before. Is that right? Talk about this. This is just fascinating. Right. It's fascinating. Yeah.
It's an unusual connection, isn't it?
Yes.
But the interesting thing about John Lennon was his main purpose has always been, through many incarnations, peace. He's a peace man.
Nice.
And that is the big message that he brings through every single time. The music is a different aspect to him, but it's not actually the important part. And when you think about John Lennon's life, yes, he was completely devoted to getting that message out about peace. But Yoko unfortunately brought war in as well. So
I know
it was just a slightly different. She kind of just pushed him slightly in a different direction. So he's still talking about peace, but it wasn't quite the purity that he should have been. It wasn't quite the message that he was supposed to get out there. That's right. She did just push him slightly offline.
Right. Well, what kind of got me was, you said he should have gotten the world peace.
Yes. Yes, that was ordained.
But he didn't, because
that's right.
Because she affected. And I just want to get this out there. She affected his auric field.
Yes. And his mission never quite happened the way it should have done, because we're all born with a mission, and one of his was to promote peace. Now that did happen, but it got pushed slightly in the wrong direction. So consequently, that Nobel Peace Prize that was ordained for him didn't occur, and this is where free will comes into the picture. You see, so the book talks about reincarnation, but it also talks about free will, that we all have free will, and so often our missions go slightly awry because of that. We take the intellectual decision rather than the intuitive one. The mission can be weak sometimes if we've lost the psychic aspect, and then we go off on a different slightly different pathway. Yeah.
Well, what I think was really, really interesting is that as you get this information, you know, a lot of it just made a whole lot of sense. But you talk about meditation. I'm going to go back to where we kind of started. And I'll just be honest and say personally, that's what did it for me. I've always been psychic, but meditating the last few years, just I would say the last 5 years, has really changed everything. It changes your life. And that's why, yeah, and that's why I have people like you come on the show to reiterate, because I teach the audience to bring in the light of God and to bring up the light from Gaia. Because to me, and I want you to talk about this because I feel so strongly about it, we have to get back to where we connect and heal ourselves and start to love ourselves again so that we can bring that love vibration out. So will you talk about this a little bit?
Yes. What meditation, you mean?
And the love, and just bringing the love back, because there's so much.
Yes.
It's like there's a polarity right now, Diana. I feel like, you know, you've got all these people over here who are talking about love, and then you got all these people out here that are in war. So it's there's a clear polarity. What do you talk
there
about
is
this a little bit?
Yeah, the more you meditate and the more you self-heal with herbs and homeopathic remedies and Reiki and Sekhem energies and so on, the more darkness, the more fear and negativity, shall we say, is removed from the auric field, and the more negativity which can be released from the aura, the energy that we have around us, the more positive we are and the more loving we feel, and we can access the heart more. I mean, sometimes the heart simply shuts down through trauma, and once the heart is shut down, we feel nothing. Then you know, when you feel nothing, you go out there and fight and have wars, and material gain is all that matters because there is no love any longer. So the heart shutting down is absolutely fundamental to the problems that we have today on the earth.
Feels like we're protecting our heart because people have been hurt, so they're afraid to open their heart again.
You can't do it on a conscious level. It's unconscious. It simply closes up, and people may not even realize, they probably don't realize half the time, that they are shut down. But meditation and other healing methods opens the heart back up, and then we are more friendly, more loving to the community, and so on, and then warfare will subside. But it's getting people to do it. That's the question, is trying to get people to do that.
But if you know, and I wonder if, you know, I think if we lead by example, you know, the more we meditate and connect and people see the joy, you know, that comes back, you know, a lot of people,
and that actually filters down the street as well. I mean, if you've got one loving entity in the street, that energy and positivity will actually help the neighborhood. I mean, it's very, very positive indeed. It's very powerful.
Yes.
You know.
I agree with that. Well, I always send love and light out to the world. I always send love and light to my kids, but then I send love and light to myself. I think sometimes, and I used to not do that, but now I do. You know, it's like self-care. We're all looking outside of ourselves and we forgot about the self-care. And I want to talk a little bit about the pharmaceutical industry, because we are talking about self-care and numbing. And what I see, I mean, here in the United States, I don't know what's going on over there, you can tell me, but the fentanyl coming in to the United States from Mexico has been horrible. There are so many deaths from people who are dying from fentanyl. There is a pot store on every corner in the United States, in most states now, which in my mind, I think it's okay because I think it's more natural. So I'd rather see that because but then on the flip side, I see so many people being given these prescription drugs, and I feel like everybody's just numbing.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about this whole, because you're into the homeopathic, and I want to know what you feel about. I don't like the prescription drugs at all. I'd rather try to do something natural like Manuka honey instead of going to the doctor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the natural medicines are so much healthier, and also they actually heal. They heal the emotional cause. And what I've discovered over the years is that the emotions are always at the heart of a physical condition. So it doesn't matter what the physical is, there'll be an emotional component to that, and natural medicines will heal the emotions, and then the physical clears up. That's the way homeopathy works. It's the way herbalism very often works as well. But if you go to a doctor, of course, they're simply looking at the physical problem, or they're looking at the mental problem, and either way they medicate with chemicals.
Right.
And chemicals are, well, chemicals destroy the body. They physically change it. Homeopathy is energetic medicine. It energizes the energy body to release negativity, and then positivity can come in. So it's all lovely, and then the physical body recovers. But with conventional medicine, they're simply doling out chemicals all the time. I mean, it frustrates me, because it's the way that doctors are taught at university.
Well, it's about money. It's about money.
Well, yeah, it's about money. Absolutely.
It's all about the
There's no
cash.
money in alternative medicine. That's right. And it is about money. But they don't seem to be able to combine the two. I mean, obviously there are times when conventional medicine is terribly important, but if they could combine that with an understanding of natural medicines, people wouldn't get as ill as they do, because they would be they'd be healed in advance of that. It's the whole thing's frustrating. But you're right. I mean, it's all about money with the big pharmaceutical industries and so on.
Yeah, the Rockefellers started that years ago in the United States, and I don't know if it just went over to England or how that all occurred, but that's what happened here. It was all about the cash, and they got rid of all the homeopathic doctors and made them all seem that they weren't legitimate. Even chiropractors, it's taken years for chiropractors to come back into play, and they are wonderful because they know the body so well and the energetics.
Yeah. I mean, I think what happened in the late 19th century was the AMA said to its all the doctors that you can't be part of the AMA if you practice homeopathy. You can go and do it with pleasure, but you're not part of us. And of course, without being part of that clique, they couldn't get the work that so they just gave it up, and it basically got persecuted out of America. And it's sad.
What do you see over there? Are you see more homeopathic coming back, more natural medicine coming back there? I do see it.
No, I don't.
No. Oh,
I'd love to be able to say I could see it. What I do see, though, is it's very, very popular in Europe. It's always been popular in Europe, but the UK, no. And I think maybe the pharmaceuticals have got a big hold in England and in the UK. But in Europe, it's fabulous. And you go on holiday to Holland or France or whatever, and homeopathic pharmacies all over the place, natural medicines everywhere, they are so much better, so much more flexible, shall we say. But in the UK, it's a small time business. And also the frustration I find, I mean, when I've treated people with homeopathy, and you could have the most miraculous results with it. I mean, miracles, but so often whoever it is will say, "Oh, I'm not going to tell my doctor. I'm not going to tell my GP because he'll laugh at me." I said, well, if you don't tell him, he'll assume his drugs have got you
working, right?
They're too frightened to actually, confront, shall we say? It's a big medical systems, huge, and it's
really
you don't
messed
want to
up.
be laughed out the door or whatever.
Well, personally, I've been the last couple of years, been taking supplements that were actually prescribed by a homeopathic doctor. And, then I started ordering them, and I realized, and then talking to other people, and I realized there's a lot of us here that are taking supplements that,
quietly. That's right.
It's true. It's true. It is. That's so funny.
But it's also true that a lot of people believe in reincarnation, but if you don't broach the subject, they won't broach it. You know, I mean, I've had so many conversations over decades now with people, and me being me, I will mention something about a past life, and then the person I'm talking to was, well, actually, since you mention it, yes, I've had an experience, and you think, oh, it's such a shame that they don't actually speak openly to society. You know, it's well, I had one friend of mine, and she'd never told anyone about an incredible experience. She walked into a castle and she saw herself in medieval clothes,
Oh my God.
doing some embroidery by a window. And she said, I knew it was me. At the moment I saw it, I knew it was me. She'd never told anyone in 25 years.
Why?
And yet
She was afraid?
you know, except me, because I was talking about past lives. I was happily talking about them.
Oh my God.
The same thing happened to another friend again. You know, when I actually broached this, oh, don't tell me about, you know, past lives. God, you know, 17th century. Well, I know, you know, and she'd been having nightmares of dreams, seeing herself dressed in 17th century clothing all the way through her life. She said it was since a child. I've known about, you know, I've had a life in the
Oh
70s.
my gosh.
But they don't talk openly about it. I mean, so yes, it's difficult to know really how many people understand. I mean, it's not just a belief system, it's actually understand that they have reincarnated, because it's a secret sort of subject, you know, on the whole.
Yeah, it really is. So who else have you brought in that you would like to share with the audience? I brought up John Lennon. Is there somebody else that you would like to share some information?
Right. Okay. Well, I suppose George Harrison is my hero. I mean, he flows all the way through the book as a huge character in throughout history, and indeed to as I'm told up there, to an angelic status. So what I've written, and as I understand it, he was Vivaldi in a past life, Antonio Vivaldi, and he's had several other musical past lives, but he was also Peter the Great.
Oh, wow.
As well, and he was also Rasputin. And the interesting yes, I mean, he's had some extraordinary lives, extraordinarily powerful lives, a very powerful man. And if you actually look, I did a little bit of work on. I actually looked up Peter the Great. Let's see what Peter the Great looks like, you know. And if you look him up on Google, and then you compare him with George Harrison on the Sgt. Pepper album, you're looking at a very, very similar face. And
so they come back looking pretty much the same. That's interesting.
Pretty much the same at that time. There's this wonderful moustache that George Harrison has on the Sgt. Pepper album, and he's in his lovely silks, which are so 18th century, you know. And you look at a portrait of Peter the Great, you think, I
that's him.
You know. And then, of course, later on in the 70s, he's got his long tousled hair. And again, if you look at Rasputin, there's a connection there. But I explained it in the book, really. It's impossible to explain here just chatting. But there are logical spiritual reasons how he would progress through many lifetimes. And yes, he comes through as a very loving and incredibly spiritually evolved person.
Interesting.
And he comes into the book.
You also talk about Charles, you know.
Oh yes.
And
King
I want Charles, yes. God, and that's a crazy thing going on over there. So I have to bring this up. I mean, this whole thing with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, what a nightmare for the
Yes. What
do they think over there?
Why? In Britain. I mean, I think the whole of the country has given up on Harry and Meghan completely. I mean,
sad.
The UK is right behind the royal family, right behind, and it's. I mean, in Britain we're sort of restrained, people, and kindly restrained people. So opening their mouths and just
Spewing.
just kind of being unpleasantly rude, really, about our royal family is undignified and unnecessary and very un-British. So yes, we have well,
It's been a
just
hard thing. Yeah, I would
dismissed
imagine.
them. Yeah.
But what about Charles? Tell about him.
Yeah, so King Charles, as he is now, he was Galen in a past life.
Okay.
And if you think about his interests over the years, they are very, very strongly geared towards natural medicines and
Really?
also nature in itself, organic farming. He's right behind homeopathy. He's a hugely humane man, and also very pro Gaia, I suppose you could say, in its strongest form. I think he's a wonderful chap.
I didn't know that. I had no idea that he was into all of that.
Oh yeah.
You never hear that. You never hear that
right,
part.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, he's
interesting.
profoundly connected to natural healing and so on in this country. He always has been.
Wow.
So to be Galen in a past life, yes, I can see how that could happen, and yeah.
Yeah, and you talk about him and Diana, how they were meant to be together and then they went their separate ways. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yes, they came as two very powerful healing entities into the world. There's no doubt about that. Yes, it's a shame they just couldn't really live together. But as I understand it, Princess Diana, she completed her mission as well as she could, because she had gone slightly off kilter, shall we say, from her mission. She'd done as much as she could, and she was allowed out at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, they have undoubtedly been together before, and no doubt they'll be together again. But it was but in their own rights. I mean, two huge healers.
Interesting. I had no idea. Well, I knew Diana, and let's talk about that. We all have an exit point. We have exit points.
We do.
And she took hers. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Can you address that a little, or what have your findings have been? I just know that my finding is that we have different points in our life where we're allowed to get out of here if we want to, or if we want to continue on. Is that what you kind of pick up?
Yes, that's right. I think it comes down to a mission.
Mm-hmm.
We are all born with a mission. We incarnate with a mission.
Right.
And when that mission is achieved, sometimes we leave. On other occasions, we simply take up another mission and work through that as well. So it is possible to have many missions in one lifetime. But if you've completed a mission and really that was all you came to do, and at soul, we're talking about the soul here rather than the physical person down here, thinking it through, but at soul, then yes, you go. And there'll be a method for that to happen. Now, how that happens depends probably very much on your karma, on all sorts of things. But there will be a purpose to you leaving at that point, and she left at that point.
Crazy, yeah. So I'm gonna bring up. I liked how you brought up Fred Astaire.
Oh, Fred, yes.
Yeah, because his tapping, I really found that interesting. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yes, tappers are connected to land healing in some way. You tap, again, you get these people with a walking stick who will tap the land as they walk along. Farmers will do it, but he's a tap dancer, and they heal.
I would never have thought that years ago, but it made total sense when I saw it in your book.
Yeah. And he was again, he just popped into my, it's like when I'm writing, I go into a semi, what do I say, a semi sort of comatose state in a way, because I'm writing away and I'm hearing this person telling me stuff, and then suddenly you'll get this like weird Fred Astaire or whatever it is, or Michael Douglas, or or Kirk Douglas or whatever, coming in. I think, what? And then I just carry on writing, and gradually there's a purpose behind it. Yes, that's right. And that one was certainly to show how Fred healed a lot of people through his wonderful, wonderful films in the 1930s, just after the war. He incarnated after the First World War to cheer people up.
I love
he
it.
didn't incarnate, but I mean, he became a famous dancer very rapidly. And I think when you look at somebody who's obviously a prodigy like that, and they come from nowhere and suddenly become hugely successful, it's just the doors open, literally just keep opening all the time, straight through to Hollywood, straight through to the greatest show on earth almost, Fred and Ginger Rogers.
Yeah.
And they just take over the whole world with their romantic dances and things. There has to be a purpose to that. It's not just a bit of good luck. When every door opens and he sort of shoots through, yes, he has to be a man with a mission to heal society. And as I understand it, it was to heal society after World War I. Part of the sort of recovery from that. And they're wonderfully glamorous films, wonderfully glamorous. Yeah.
All right, I have to bring up, I don't want to tell everything out of your book, but you guys got to get this. It's really good. It's just amazing. I love how you talk about Shakespeare. I love your analogies. It's really good, you guys. You got to check this out. You have to pick this book up. It's called I want to get the title proper. Atlantis and Gaia, Magic Reincarnation, COVID and Earth Healing Today. And I really feel like there's a lot of us here trying to heal. I have to ask about Angelina and Brad, because they just haven't got it together anymore. What did you get from that? That kind of threw me. I was like, oh.
Yes, they came through as hugely important figures in society. And their healing capacity is massive, separately as well as together. But yes, they didn't need to stay together any longer than they did. And sometimes it's people break apart by mistake, or like we were saying about John and Yoko, it just doesn't quite, it kind of affects their mission in some way when one character is too powerful and overloads the other one. Whereas with Angelina and Brad, no, they did a wonderful job together. They settled, they were happy, and they parted and they've moved on, and everything's hunky-dory in a sense with them. But yes, massive healers.
Interesting. Yeah, and we never, it just goes back to them healing us and not even us realizing.
No. I mean, it's interesting how so many, but people just entertainers really, but at the same time they are more than entertainers. The fact that they are there and sparkling, stars and celebrities, they are placed purposefully there in terms of incarnation to help society along. Yeah. And they do. I mean, they may well be completely unaware of that themselves, but I mean, not every important celebrity, shall we say, is psychic by any means. Yeah. But nevertheless, their mission is coming from upstairs and is important. Yeah.
I love it. Well, so what's next for you? This book has been out how long now?
It actually comes out on the 1st of June.
Oh, it's not even out yet. Oh my God, I'm so blessed.
But you can pre-order it. That's what I've been told. You
can
pre-order it on Amazon. I have my Amazon author page.
Oh my God.
Pre-order it on Amazon. It actually comes out on Amazon the 1st of June.
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, so I'm excited too. It's my first book ever, and it's there it is. Yeah.
Diana, how long did it take you to put this together?
Um, Now this is an interesting one because I probably wrote it over about 3 months, and I sent it off to various literary agents and a couple of publishers. Didn't get anywhere. And then I took a break for a few weeks. And I thought, oh, never mind, I'll write something else. And then I went on the internet and thought, no, I'll give it one more shot. And I sent it through to John Hunt Publishers.
Yeah.
And they just came straight back and said, yes, we'll do it. And that really freaked me out. Oh my God. It's really got a chance of being published. So at that
It's
point,
beautiful. I love
at that
it.
point, I virtually rewrote it because they said, well, just sort of tinker with it, make sure it's absolutely how you want it, and then put it through to us as in its final version. So at that point, I spent a month and I basically rewrote the whole thing. So I could say it was done in a month. The seeds of it were over about 3 months, but I did seriously improve it at that point. And that's the point where these little stories about John Lennon, George Harrison, and all sorts of interesting celebrities started to come in big time. To break up what I would call it's a book on spiritual philosophy. It's a book about reincarnation, karma, and past lives, and how we get into such terrible mess and how we can get out of it again, and spiritual healing, and also herbalism, and so on. The stories, as I call them, I mean, they're real, but you can also regard them as a way of remembering the deeper message, which is that we live many lifetimes, and that the natural medicines will actually heal the soul, and they will heal completely sometimes people's ailments, whereas conventional medicine tends to disguise the ailment that you have. It'll give you pain relief, which is wonderful in itself, but so many times, certainly when you go along to a doctor and say, well, it won't cure it, but it will slow it down, or it will help you deal with it, you know, and they acknowledge that they cannot cure things. But if you use homeopathic medicines and herbalism and healing and meditation, you can
Yes,
cure things. You can. I know, you know, I've seen it happen.
yeah. Well,
so
our bodies, I think, are set up to heal themselves.
They are. We're self-healing. That's right.
Yes.
And Gaia is self-healing.
Yes.
So yes, we can. But there's such a kind of almost delusion around medicine now that, you know, the message out there is that you just have to take these drugs, and, you know, we're doing the best we can for you, and maybe if they don't work, we'll operate. That people don't understand that you can actually go to somebody else outside the system and achieve a lot more than that on occasion.
Right. I'm one of them. I'm here. I do that too. Well, I have to tell you, it's been a pleasure to meet you, and a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is there anything you want to leave us with before we get out of here for today? Or
just buy the book, I would
buy
say.
the book. You guys know it's really great. I have to say, it's one of the best, and I interview a lot of people. It's really, really interesting and different. I mean, so unique. The information that you provide was amazing to me, and I just commend you on this book. I think it's fabulous, Diana. So thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're going to get out of here for today. The book is called Atlantis and Gaia, Magic, Reincarnation, COVID, Earth, and Healing by Diana Mary Rose. And she is from the UK. And it will be available June 1st, you guys, on Amazon. This is Nancy Yearout. If you want an angel reading, go to my website, nancyyearout.com, and I'll be happy to speak with you and give you a reading. All right, you guys, I'm going to get out of here for today. Thanks again, Diana.
Thank you.
Everyone, take care and God bless.